What's up, everybody? Welcome to SWAT MMA, where we're smoking weed and talking mixed martial arts. My name is Jarrod. I'm here with my friend Paul.
What up?
And we're coming to you from the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. This is episode number 72, and we are going to be discussing the fallout from UFC 252. We are going to be discussing the surprise announcement from former now UFC light heavyweight champion Jon Jones. We're going to take a look ahead to UFC Vegas 7, and we are also going to be talking about some surprise signings by BKFC. Before we get into all of that, though, Paul, let's get into our weed of the week.
Smoke weed every day.
All right, this week we got two different weeds, herbs, fine Vegas cannabis. Got some Gorilla Glue, original glue, GG number 4. It's many names left over from last week that we're not going to dive into because we broke all that down on episode 71. But we've added to the mix some item 9, which is the first time I have actually ever even heard of this herb. Never smoked it before, never tried it. It's a 3-way cross of Mendocino Purple, Triangle Kush number 4, and Stardog Haze. Out of those, I have smoked the Perps and I've smoked the Stardog Haze. I don't think I've had Triangle Kush number 4, though. So we've had a few minutes to puff on it here.
It's a triangle.
It's a triangle. Mm-hmm.
And it's Kush.
And it's Kush.
But it's the fourth one.
You think it comes from the Emerald Triangle in Cali?
Think so?
Probably.
Wow, dude. Look at you. Breaking.
You know,
names
it's
down.
probably Triangle OG Kush, which is ocean grown.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
That's dope.
Mm-hmm.
Grown in the ocean, huh?
Oceanside, sir, West Side. But, yeah, what do you think? You've hit this a few times now.
I fuck with it.
I like this little piece you brought over today. Rock in the studio with this one.
Yep.
It's an improvement since we still haven't upgraded from the
The
bottle bong.
The bottle bubbler?
We also got the PAX 3 loaded with some of the glue over here. And we got a mix in this little chillum here of both herbs, because sometimes we like to mix that up. And earlier, while we were prepping for the show, we smoked a nice fat joint of the two mixed together, which is pretty nice, man. What did you think?
Yeah, they definitely have two different, they have two different feelings once they're, Dude, that's like the fourth time you've done that.
I know, it's crazy. I can't operate this pipe. I swear to God, I've been smoking a long time. This isn't my day one. It might look like day one on video.
But yeah, no, they have like the buds on the item 9 were a little bit more dense. So like when you grinded it down, it was a little bit more fine. I feel like, but then the Gorilla Glue was a little bit more fluffy. So,
yeah, it's fluffy and sticky.
Yeah,
yeah.
They both had are like dense, but in different ways. You know what I mean? Like just a little bit of like airiness to that Gorilla Glue, whereas the item 9 is a little bit more like tight. You know what I'm saying?
I like the contrasting colors too. You got the item 9 with the darker greens, the purples,
A little bit of yellow, orange in there,
and the orange in there, and then you got the Gorilla Glue, which is just like bright green, frosted.
Yeah.
Frosted with white everywhere.
Yep.
So good weed this week.
Fuck yeah.
We're stoked to be smoking it. We hope you're smoking something good while you're listening. And while we puff this down, we're going to get started with some talking about fights here. Man, so much news breaking in the combat sports world here. We can't talk about everything. We're going to narrow it down to some of our favorite topics. But coming out of, say, UFC 252's fallout, which, was headlined, of course, by champion Stipe Miocic defending against Daniel Cormier, former champion, in their rubber match. Both fighters 1-1, and it was co-headlined by Sean O'Malley versus Chito Vera. Stipe ultimately wins the decision, I thought rather convincingly. Not super dominant, but I don't think there's any question.
Yeah, I feel like after the second round knockdown, I thought it was going to be over.
Yeah, I mean, if there was 10, 15 seconds left in that round, that would have been it.
Yeah.
Like he had
It
Cormier
was
up
weird.
against the
Cormier
cage,
almost
was
went to the corner like he
beating him.
lost.
Yeah. I
Like
think he
like
might
he,
have thought it got waved off. He wasn't
yeah.
sure. But ultimately, he wins. Cormier retires. Stipe is cemented, at least in UFC record books, as the most successful UFC heavyweight of all time. He's got more defenses than any, and he's also closing in on some other records as well. So we'll see what he does next. There's some talk about a super fight with Jon Jones, which we kind of have to bring him into this mix of UFC 252. But let's put a pin in that real quick. We had Cormier retire. Let's discuss that. So Cormier goes out, kind of being in second place a lot of the time.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're a fan, then you're going to make a case that he's the greatest of all time. If you're not a fan like me, you're going to say he was kind of a paper champ at 205. And
he was legit champ at heavyweight.
He was legit champ at heavyweight, but then
lost.
Unfortunately, when it came to the trilogy with the guy he won
title
from, he came out on the losing end.
Yeah.
Kind of like some other times against Jon Jones at 205. I mean, yes, he was technically the 205 champ. You can't take that away from him. But also, he never beat Jon Jones, who never lost his belt. So he was only champ because Jon Jones got in legal trouble and wasn't there to fight him.
Yeah.
So and when Jones came back, what happened? So
dominated him the first time, then he head kick knocked him out the second.
Because I don't like Cormier, I'm not going to discount the fact that he's absolutely a great fighter. Yes.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, he kind of
got the short end of the stick a lot of times.
Against his biggest rivals in both weight classes, he was on the losing end.
Yeah.
He kicked everybody else's ass in both weight classes, though.
Yeah.
Those are the only two men ever to beat the man. He's
a Hall of Famer without a doubt.
Yeah, he's a Strikeforce Grand Prix champion. Came in as an alternate and won the Grand Prix over there.
Yeah.
Handled himself quite well against anybody not named Jon Jones or Stipe Miocic.
Yeah.
And against Stipe, he did win one. So there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, good to him. I'm glad I don't have to watch him fight anymore, and I wish he didn't commentate so much. But I don't think that's going to get retired anytime soon.
I feel
Your thoughts?
DC, I feel like I like him more as a commentator than I do as a fighter.
Wow. And you don't like him as a commentator, do you?
No, not really. And I don't know. He's accomplished for sure.
He's accomplished. You can't take that away.
You can't take he's a winner for sure, but it's just at the most elite levels he fell short. Mm-hmm. It is what it is.
Which keeps him from being in the GOAT conversation.
Yeah.
He goes down as a great fighter, though.
Yeah,
he
goes down as a Hall of Famer and a great fighter. He doesn't go down as the greatest of all time.
Champ? You can't put him in that conversation because he lost the trilogy to Stipe and Jon Jones
twice.
Yeah.
Whether you count the no contest or not.
I mean, let's get real. The no contest counts like Jon Jones has lost to Matt Hamill.
Exactly.
Come on.
Yeah, for sure.
So, but now, speaking of Jon Jones, let's put a pin in that and real quick bounce down to the co-main event. Because honestly, is there much to talk about on this card outside of the co-main event?
Well, one thing I do want to talk to you about real quick is
sir.
Stipe the greatest heavyweight of all time across all all the different.
Across all MMA, is he the greatest of all time yet? I would say no. And there's two reasons for that. One, the main one being the fact that he's still in his prime and fighting as champion, and I don't really think you can judge a career. I don't really count Fedor as still fighting, even though he technically is. I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
And
that's the problem with the
heavyweight.
heavyweight.
Can say he's still fighting when you just left the UFC. You're not,
Yeah.
That's a fighting Combate America. I mean,
yeah.
Okay, bro.
Yeah. That's the biggest problem with a lot of heavyweights when you go across the board. Like Frank Mir is one of the greatest heavyweights of all time, but he ruined his career at the end.
He's jacking his record all up because he's staying in too long against top tier competition.
Yeah. Same thing with a lot of those guys. Even someone like Kane. Kane's in the conversation as well. Look at you.
Yeah, Kane. Well,
Kane's in the conversation.
He's in the conversation. I think it's a short conversation, but you're right. He's there.
And so I just feel like I don't know.
I think Stipe is definitely the most. I think he's the best the UFC has seen, and I think the record books indicate that.
I think
he's been the most successful and accomplished. Well, you can't deny it. You can't. No one's defended the title as many times as he has.
I don't think he's the best we've ever seen, though. I think there's been other accomplished fighters that fell short at the biggest moments that have been more talented than Stipe.
Well, we'll see as the fight game wears on him what happens. But for right now, he's king of the mountain.
Yeah, for sure. No, I'm not saying. I'm just saying that he's not like some freaking. He's like a blue collar fighter. Like, you know what I mean? Like he's not super gifted physically. He's not like, you know what I'm saying? There's been a lot of guys throughout history.
What it is, he goes above and beyond what you would expect him to do in fighting, just like he does in his personal life as a volunteer fireman, despite doing all right as a UFC fighter.
Yeah.
And, you know, because he fights the same way. He just, you look at him, you're not like, well, he's got this massive right hand, or, oh, my God, you can't hit the guy, or, oh, his jiu-jitsu. You're just like, I don't know. He just grinds out some wins, though, against top-tier competition.
Yeah, for sure.
And he's very athletic. Like, that used to be the talk around Stipe, was he was Mr. Athletic, because he was a former, like, AAA baseball player or some shit.
Okay.
And maybe college. Whatever it was, there was talk of him being the guy to beat Kane, because he was this new crossover breed athlete.
Yeah.
It just wasn't football. It was baseball.
Yeah.
Somewhere along the line, like I think I mentioned this last week, too, that storyline just fell off to the side, I guess because the UFC don't give a shit about Stipe Miocic. Like,
I don't know.
But
yeah, I don't think I've ever even heard that story than when you told me.
Yeah, that was like the big deal. Like, he was like the guy who was the crossover athlete that was going to be the breed that could beat Kane, because he came in like when Kane was still reigning terror. Yeah. And I guess ultimately, because Kane and DC fought pretty similar, maybe he would have been the guy to beat Kane. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah.
The only thing I think that's different is I think a fight with him and Kane would go differently just because Kane's got more size than DC. Yeah. I think a big part of the way Stipe was able to take advantage of DC and the 2 wins that he did have was using his length. Like, because like
he's much bigger than.
Well, yeah. Well, just look at the second fight. The body shots he was hitting him with were long. Mm-hmm. You know, they're you know what I mean. He was coming in from angles that DC couldn't defend just because he couldn't get away. You know what I mean? And I think that's the thing with Stipe. Like, he's had like a few fights though, like the fight with Alistair, where it's like he was 1 second he was knocked out, the next he knocked him out. And, like, I feel like there's no crazy – although Stipe's great, blue-collar, hard-working fighter, there's no crazy performance I can really point to that I can say is like, wow, that guy is the greatest. That was the – like, you know what I mean? Like, there's a master class in every fighter's career. He doesn't have his
moment like, say, Conor over Aldo.
Yeah,
or Conor like, against Eddie Alvarez or Jones would even be better, because that was like, an ass kicking.
Yeah,
or Eddie Alvarez was a destruction. Of a top Eddie Alvarez. Fighter.
Yeah, exactly. Or like Jon Jones against insert name here. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like Jon Jones had some signature like
Jon Jones
dominations.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I just haven't necessarily seen that from Stipe. I've seen a lot of fights with Stipe where they're very close and he just wills the win and gets it done, and that's great. I just don't know if he is the greatest heavyweight I've ever seen.
He needs this big signature win, and you think this would be it over Cormier, but it's
not though, because it was
all the shine.
Really hard. It was a tough fought win both times.
Well, Cormier is good.
Yeah, without a doubt.
But Stipe's boxing is underrated. I mean, he's a Golden Gloves boxer.
Yeah,
I know what that's like. I was a Golden Gloves boxer. Like, you got to be
tough. You can't be
sure. To even like compete in there and have any wins, you can't. You have to have skills. Like, and I think he was a state champion, which is.
Yeah, it's good.
You got hands, man.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think when you look at it, I think he's the most accomplished heavyweight champion of all time in the UFC. I don't think he's the greatest I've ever seen, though.
All right, well, let's take that pin out of Jon Jones now that we talked about earlier. And because Jon Jones just vacated his title, like within the past few days, and is openly talking about, I wanted to move up to heavyweight, but the UFC won't fucking pay me. Yeah. So I'm retired for now unless you want to negotiate for heavyweight. Yeah. Which we could have a whole conversation about the UFC refusing to pay these star athletes.
Yeah, there's a lot of dick swinging going on.
Yeah. And the UFC is losing because these guys are retiring.
Yeah. Or stepping away or doing other shit.
Uh-huh. And they have a big enough names they can actually do other shit. I know Jon Jones owns a lot of real estate. Conor don't need shit from fighting.
Well, Jon Jones is doing that new charity thing he does as well.
Yeah, he's got that care
thing too. He's super, which is great. You know, it's great.
That's good.
Dude,
I don't think he's faking the funk on that. I
nah,
think that's legit.
cool. It's a care program or something like
Yeah,
that. I
yeah.
can't remember, but it's good stuff. And it's like, if he wants, he can literally do whatever he wants. He doesn't have to fight again ever. His legacy is cemented without a doubt. I just feel if he were to come back and fought at heavyweight, it would just
Well, yeah, this is
put
how it
him on
ties in.
in
'Cause
another
that's the fight.
stratosphere.
It's Stipe.
Yeah.
That's what they're talking about. I mean, that's. I mean, it hasn't been openly said, but he's talked about fighting Stipe before.
For a long
he was
time.
tweeting about fighting Stipe
Remember?
during the fight.
Dude.
He said, "Heavyweight champions, I'm coming," and then it was like, UFC don't want shit, so fuck it. Here's your title back.
There's some history with these guys, though.
Stipe.
Throw you way back here. How about, what was it, UFC 189? Jon Jones versus OSP was almost Jon Jones versus Stipe on a last second phone call with Stipe Miocic saying he was going to take the Jon Jones fight, and then they got OSP instead. Remember that?
I do.
What was
now
that,
you bring it up.
2017?
I had forgotten about that. It's right in that range.
Something like that.
Yeah.
It was on that same card. Henry Cejudo lost to Demetrius the first time.
Right.
That was what? Yeah, it was like UFC
right in
189 or something like that. But yeah, so like there's a little bit of history behind there too. You know, like these guys have been rumored or have been some weird negotiations that no one will ever say really happened, have happened, you know what I mean, for them to fight. So I think they've just been on a collision course for years, and now I just feel like it's finally playing out.
That would be the opportunity. I mean, if and I think I'm a fan of Stipe, and Jon Jones too. I think he probably loses that fight, but if he went out and beat Jon Jones, say he KO'd him or something, that would shush a lot of that talk.
Yeah.
Well, you beat Daniel Cormier and Jon Jones.
If he beats Jon Jones, he's the greatest of all time.
And you add that to your DC shit, like you beat the two guys that everybody is like,
Without a doubt.
these are the guys.
Here's the thing, though.
That'd be dope.
I think Jon Jones mops him.
I can't disagree with that. Jon Jones is the greatest talent we've seen in mixed martial arts. You can't look at Stipe and go, he's the greatest talent we've seen.
Well, here's the thing. I just look at what DC's game plan was in all three fights, and where he went wrong and where he didn't. Yeah.
If you're not watching on camera, I am doing the Larry, Moe, and Curly Three Stooges eye poke. That was DC's plan.
Stipe got him back. Stipe got him back with those in this last one real bad.
I don't think that was intentional.
It could have been.
I do believe that. You can't see someone flick their fingers in slow mo like you can with Daniel Cormier and tell me that's not intentional.
But that aside, here's the thing: is when you look at how Daniel Cormier fought Stipe in that fight, you go back, and when he diverted away from the game plan is where he lost the two fights he lost. You know,
I've heard this before, and I bought that after the second loss, but then
you mean the first loss, the second fight?
I mean the second fight, yeah. And he was like, "Oh, I abandoned my wrestling. This time I'm going to come out and wrestle him." Well, guess what? You couldn't do shit with your wrestling with him after the first round. You're like, "Oh shit, okay. Guess I can't do that."
Second fight, he dominated him in the wrestling. In the first 3 rounds, literally just held him down for 3 rounds, and then the fourth got tired and fucking gassed out.
Yeah, and in the third fight, he couldn't do it.
Well, third fight, he got rocked.
And he said he abandoned his wrestling in the second fight. He said he abandoned it after the first round in the second fight.
Yeah, but he wrestled him for the first 3 rounds, without a doubt, in the second fight.
Well, either way, he got his ass knocked the fuck out.
For sure. But here's the thing: I feel like
all that wrestling didn't work too well with
that aside. Well, to unpack the thought I have here.
Yes.
My thing is,
unravel it like an onion.
Jon Jones could follow a very similar game plan and, put his own twist to it. And I feel like Stipe is going to have a hard time defending.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that I don't know if he mops the floor with him, but I mean, if you ask me to put some money on it, yeah, I'm betting Jon Jones, man. It's Jon Jones, dude. Yeah. Like he KO'd Daniel Cormier with a head kick.
I could not believe the lines I saw fucking after the fight. They had Stipe fucking, was it 2-1 underdog against Francis, and then I think
man, I'll take that bet all day.
That's fucking crazy, bro. Like, man, I don't know.
That fight ain't gonna happen now, but I would.
You don't think so?
I would bet that.
Well, that's the thing, though. that fight still could happen because I do not think Jon Jones is fighting for the rest of the year. I think Jon Jones is going to take at least till next year, January, February, to really get his body in shape and where he wants it to fight at heavyweight. And I think there's definitely possibility for Francis and Stipe to fight this year.
I don't know if Stipe
Because, like, in
wants
all
to
honesty,
squeeze a fight in between.
I don't think he
honestly.
got that fucked up from this last fight.
No.
I mean, a little bit, but nothing crazy.
I'm just thinking paydays. You know.
That's what I'm saying. The UFC needs champions that are willing to fight a second time this year because they got some good cards out at the beginning of this pandemic, but now they need to keep them coming for the rest of the year.
We'll put out some shitty cards, man.
I know, but they need.
They started.
They don't even
strong.
have champions who are fighting right now, though. They've got champions who can't even fight, like can't even get anywhere to fight. They like
Oh, it's ridiculous.
it is what it is. You know what I mean? They
Right.
got contenders who have claimed belts that they can't fight for because they just can't even get out of the country they're in. Like, think about Leon Edwards right now. Leon Edwards can't even find a gym to go to. He's ranked fucking second in the division and has been passed up for the title shot twice now
Yeah.
just because he can't get to a gym.
He's gonna have to take a fight now when he comes back because nobody knows who Leon Edwards is. They're like,
Who exactly?
they didn't know him beforehand, let alone now. And it sucks to be him. I'm not saying that that's great.
Yeah.
That sucks, man. It's terrible.
So I just feel like if Stipe wants to cash in, I feel like the Ngannou fight happens before the end of the year, and then Jones next year, beginning of the year.
And I know Ngannou's earned it. I'm just not in this rush to see it again. Like, it was a dominant win by Stipe. Like,
We've also seen Stipe get knocked out since then, though.
Stipe didn't lose since. I'm sorry. I know, and I hate to bring it up every time, but there's just a difference when you get knocked out after being on the severe end of a fucking eye poke, and you get knocked up by a
Yeah.
right hand after
True.
you can't see out of your left eye.
I agree, but there's
Like,
also
I mean, yeah,
there's
it
also
happened, but-
deterioration of the brain that happens when you get knocked out, in general.
Yeah,
And
that's
he's
true.
getting older, and Ngannou's hitting hard as fuck still.
Well,
And
he took some hard shots from him before. I mean, he is hittable. But
yeah,
I
I don't know.
I'm not in a rush to see that. But
What if he just does what he did to Rosenstrike and just bum rushes Stipe and puts him in the corner? Do you think Stipe could take one on the chin like he did in the first fight and keep moving?
I don't think Stipe will get hit with a bum rush.
He did the first time. He just lived through it. He just lived to tell the tale.
We'll see. I think he's more likely. I think reasons like that are even more likely. That's why he holds out for the Jon Jones fight. It's not like Stipe gets along with the UFC. Was he going to want to bend over for them? Okay, sure, I'll fight Ngannou in 3 months for you guys because you really hooked me up. You really took care of me. I'm gonna do one for you. Or do you think he's going to be like, nah, I want to fight Jon Jones?
No, it's not. It's not even
Yeah.
that. I'm saying Jon Jones is going to take the time off. I don't think that in the timetable of when Stipe wants to fight, Jon is going to be ready to fight.
I mean, Kane set precedents for UFC heavyweight champs fighting once a year, and that was way back when. So Stipe can sit out 6 months, and then they can book a fight and have a 2-month camp still, and it's not like insane.
And there's like a queue still, bro. Like now you got Curtis Blades who's coming off 3 wins. You got Derek Lewis coming off 2 wins. You got obviously Ngannou coming off 3 or 4
I
wins.
know.
Like,
These eye pokes of Daniel Cormier just held up the whole goddamn division, didn't they? I keep circling back to that. I know I shouldn't. I'm sorry.
but
sorry,
it's just like, how
DC.
long can we hold this division up?
I don't know. It's up to the UFC to decide that, I suppose. I think Stipe will definitely fight ultimately whoever they want him to, but I just wouldn't be surprised if he tried to flex nuts for a payday here, at least a pay-per-view against Jon Jones and Fight Island or some shit,
Yeah.
you know. So
I just don't know if we'll still be in Fight Island by the time Jon Jones is ready to fight
that's
heavyweight.
completely unpredictable. Who knows? But hey,
I'm
let's
telling you, man, I think he's going to take 6 months off just for himself to get up to that weight class and walk around at that weight class.
I wouldn't be surprised. He's just
Similar to what Gus did.
calculated guy.
Gus took, 6.5, 7 months off, came back at heavyweight. Body style looked good. He just got caught with a submission. Shit happens.
yeah, he's fighting a
Rematch
a
at heavyweight,
dangerous
him
man.
and Gus.
Oh no. Oh my
Stipe,
god. no.
Gus, run it. I don't know. I think I'd love to see Gustafsson fight some of these higher tier heavyweights also. Like, there's heavyweight, there's some good fucking contenders, man. I don't know. Like, it sucks how held
make
up
an
this
interim
division
title
has
then
been,
and
man.
fucking have Stipe fight Jones. Do an interim title with Rosenstruck and Ngannou.
They already fought.
Oh yeah. Well, they're trying to get that. Or he was trying to get that rematch. That's why it was in my mind.
Well, that's another one, dude. That was on that same card on 252 as well, and it's like, where does that put him now too? Because he was on what, a 5-fight win streak before.
Talking about the Junior Dos Santos Rosenstruck fight.
Yeah.
Seen Junior get his 3rd straight KO.
Yep.
Yeah, Junior should retire from the UFC at least. Hit that Bellator circuit.
Fuck. It might be, man.
I don't want to see it no more, man. I'm a fan, but dude.
Well, where does that put him in that title picture though? Because now what, Rosenstruck's got to be top 5. You got who? I don't know. Maybe him and Derek Lewis next.
It's a clusterfuck up there.
Put Derek Lewis and him in there. I would be really curious to see that. That would be the shit. Derek Lewis is gonna have. He's another one. Like, he's a fight away from the belt. All these guys are, and you got Curtis Blades who's saying he's not taking another fight until he gets a title shot. You got Ngannou pretty much saying the same thing.
I respect that line of thinking, but this is the UFC. We see what they do. They don't even pay their stars to fight people. They're certainly not going to, oh, you don't want to fight? Cool. We've seen, what does Dana say to that every time? Cool, we'll find someone who does.
You know who's kind of smart, though, is Blades is the only one who's, like, publicly shit-talks Stipe.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, puts him in the conversation, I guess.
It does. Well, let's shift into the co-main event now, because we could talk about this stuff forever. But let's talk about the other big fight on this 252 card, which is Sean O'Malley versus Chito Vera, which, as we discussed last week, really didn't feel like should be a co-main event of an $85 pay-per-view, despite the fact that we're both fans of Sean O'Malley. Yeah. TKO.
Tough fight.
TKO after a kick that a lot of people thought was an injury first. Like, Chito Vera in the first round kicked Sean O'Malley just below the knee, and then Sean O'Malley's leg isn't right anytime after that, right? And he actually starts rolling on his ankle, and his foot's all fucking funky, and then he falls to the ground, and then Chito lands this massive elbow, and then O'Malley clutches his ankle after taking that elbow, and Herb Dean just waves it off.
Yeah. I think he saved him.
O'Malley goes out on a stretcher holding his ankle, and a lot of people thought it was an injury. Now, a few days later, it's looking more like, we don't have it confirmed yet from O'Malley, but it seems more like Chito hit that nerve right behind the knee.
We've seen this in other fights. It happened to Michael Chandler, happened to Henry Cejudo, happened to Benson Henderson.
Chandler was the first time I saw that, and I thought he was seriously fucked up.
Remember, everyone thought he broke his leg.
Yeah, we were like, oh my God.
What, dude?
Yeah.
And then, same thing here. Everyone thought Sean O'Malley broke his ankle, but if you go back and look, Chito Vera hits him with that kick.
That's what I thought at first. I thought you guys were wrong when you were saying that. I was like, no, I think it was an injury.
Well, it's hard to. I see where you're coming from because he's got a history of that.
Yeah, it's the same. If it was the injury everybody thought it was, it's the same thing it was out for in 2018.
Yeah.
So.
Well, okay, and what we know now at least is he got X-rays, came back negative, no breaks.
Yeah. There
could be ligament damage and shit like that, so there's a good chance that anytime you lose feeling or control or anything like that of a limb, there's a lot of different tendons and shit like that could possibly
he rolled it in some nasty looking ways
shit like that.
as it was happening. Yeah,
that was a serious sprain if nothing's broken.
Yeah.
So, here's the thing. He's not old at all, so he's okay.
Yeah, he's fine. This is MMA.
You know what I mean? This shit happens.
Really, nobody goes undefeated. It's not a big deal.
No. I mean it puts a little bit of shade on his
Yeah, he needs to come back
super
with a
bright,
strong performance.
puts a little shade on the super bright future, but
he needs to slow down the Cody Garbrandt talk and shit. And you need to get healed up and come back and
for sure.
See
well, and
happens.
I think here's the thing. I think you need. Speaking to although that was a freak thing with the tendon and stuff, or I mean the nerve, the thing is, Sean O'Malley I think needs to rethink his game a little bit on the feet.
He's a little kick heavy.
He's a little kick heavy,
dangerous. Man.
Yeah,
you can break. What is there like? How many bones are in the foot and all these little small tiny ones, and plus your ankle, and he's already got weak ankles.
Yeah, he's a little kick happy.
He's a little kick happy, and that's At elite levels like the UFC, you can't get away with that as much as you can on these regional circuits and whatnot, where he's coming
Well,
from.
and he's got great
earlier.
striking too.
Tremendous.
Yeah.
He just needs
I don't know.
to tone it down a little bit
Yeah.
and do things that aren't quite so dangerous.
In my personal opinion,
To your
nothing
limbs.
against. I mean, kind of against. I don't know. I think he needs to go to a legitimate camp.
I'm not familiar with where he's training out.
He trains with his boy, with his homie that's in Bellator. That guy Tim, that's his head coach, and he's a black belt and stuff. And he's got to be knowledgeable. Obviously, they've gotten where they've gotten. I just think he needs to hire like a guru. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sometimes you need to go to
someone that'll give him some kind of direction.
an established
You know what I mean?
higher level coach.
Exactly.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Because I feel like the issue that comes with a younger coach like that, in what I've seen from Embedded, is he has a little bit too much of a fire in him, like he's a fighter or something. Like he was telling fucking Sean, he was like they were doing pad work and Chito Vera and Jason Perillo walked by him. He goes, last night I was at the performance center getting some water and I saw Vera and Perillo doing a lot of pad work. He better not try to fucking strike with you because we're gonna knock him the fuck out in the first minute if that's the case. And I was just like, you can't be feeding that. You can't be feeding that to a guy.
And that's bullshit anyways. How, dude, Ronda Rousey looked like a world beater on the pads with Edmund, bro. Remember?
Yeah.
Dude, she was so good on the pads, man.
You know what I mean, though? Like a guy who's like young like him, who has like aspirations like him.
Striking,
he's still a
man.
fighter, isn't he? Isn't that dude Tim still fighting in Bellator?
I'm not sure.
I don't know. I just think he needs. There's nothing wrong with him being a part of the camp. He could be his like co-head coach
no
or
shade, man. It's part of the game.
I just
You
think he needs a
expand.
guru.
You go to different coaches. That's how you grow.
Yeah.
Even Connor came into Florida and trained with ATT for like a month.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's a big deal for a guy that talks about never leaving his camp.
Yeah.
And they've got world champions they've coached. They can point to some track record and history over there.
Yeah.
It's not the same situation as your boy that fights in Bellator.
Yeah, exactly.
And sometimes to get to that next level, you need to do the same thing in your coaching, right?
Yeah. I just feel like it wouldn't hurt him,
Right.
Not saying that dude Tim sucks, because he's got him where he is, and he's
very talented.
Yeah, I just feel it wouldn't be the worst idea in the world to possibly bring in a striking guru.
Maybe not be so, like you said, so foot happy.
Yeah.
So kick happy.
Yeah. Maybe like someone like Mark Henry or, someone or dude, he goes to Arizona, head one more state over, head over to Jackson Wink.
Spend some time in Canada was a hobby.
Yeah. I don't think it would be the worst idea ever.
No. That's never a bad idea.
No.
Getting
and I feel like if you went to
input and more knowledge is never a bad idea.
I feel like he'd be a great training partners if he went to Jackson Wink also. He can go to Jackson Wink and train with Aaron Pico. That'd be a great training partner for him.
That would be a good training partner.
He's got good boxing. That whole gym, I just feel like they've got a lot of young talent right now at the lower weight classes that he could take advantage of picking people's brains.
Yeah, yeah. That'd be dope.
And freaking, come on, two of the best coaches probably of all time, freaking Jackson and Winklejohn.
Yeah,
they've
despite any recent troubles you might have heard, that doesn't deny their incredible
Well, I mean,
talents over
everyone
there,
has
so for
messy
sure.
endings with fighters.
No,
and
for real. No, those guys are great.
Yeah,
it's coaches.
It is what it is,
Okay.
So
we'll see what happens here. Hopefully he heals up pretty quick, and then we'll see what happens after that. As far as Chito Vera, I think he deserves a fight. Someone in the lower tier top 10.
Yeah.
5 or under. And
I
as
don't know,
far as rankings, he should definitely be in there.
Oh, yeah.
No higher than 10, I would say, in my opinion.
Like 10.
But I think that's a good spot to enter right there. Because he deserved it
Well, he was
beforehand.
there. He was there for the Song Yadong fight. He was number 14. And then he lost that fight.
I don't know how you move down in the rankings losing a fight like that if the rankings have any legitimacy. Because
Well,
it's not
Song
just...
Yadong wasn't ranked at that time.
Yeah, but it was a very controversial loss
Yeah,
and
for
against a
sure.
very talented
Who
fighter.
even makes the rankings, bro? Nobody knows. Not
I
even Dana
know.
White.
When they read the list of the people who do these rankings, I'm like,
Who the fuck
hell are
they?
these people? And like you and me have our nose deep in MMA every single day, and I don't know who any of these people are.
Yeah.
Like none of them.
Yeah.
It's a joke.
It's craziness.
These guys, like, every time it happens every time with these rankings. You have the number one contender fight the champion, and then they get their ass kicked, and then they stay the number one contender in the rankings.
It makes no sense.
It's so stupid.
It's like, wait a second. They're number one in the rankings. So. Doesn't make any sense.
Just no. But anyways, O'Malley, good luck. Hope you come back soon. And yeah. Wraps up that. As far as kind of circling back to Jon Jones vacating his title, we didn't talk about the other half of that, which means the 205 strap is up for grabs, which we had a big fight announcement of Jan, the Polish Hammer Blachowicz, fighting
Dominic Reyes.
For the title.
It's going to be the co-main event on the 26th under the Israel Adesanya and Paulo Costa fight.
Kudos to the UFC on that one because that's the fight that should have been made. I don't think there's any other fight to make for the title right
Beefs
there.
up that card, too.
There you go. And that card was shitty and awful for that outside of the main event.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe they're going to charge people money. When I read the undercard, I'm like, okay, I've heard
of
this
they did
one
have
person.
a fight fall out, too. They had, it was
Kaya Kira, whatever.
Kai Kara France,
Yeah, okay, I know that is rough, sort of.
yeah.
Barely.
Well, no, wasn't Uriah Hall and Yoel on that card, too, and it got fucking scrapped?
Yeah, Yoel got pulled out for some reason.
Yeah. So, a lot of these cards, they've been kind of rough lately. But this is a big fight. Big fight. I like Dominic Reyes here, I think. And I think it would behoove the UFC if Dominic Reyes won as well.
I like Dominic to win, but Jan is a live dog.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Jan has the power to knock anybody out in the light heavyweight division at any point that's not named Jon Jones.
Yeah. Like he can take some punches and stay in there and wing a shot. Not wing a shot. He's got pretty decent hands. I mean, he's got good form. Yeah. It's a live fight. Ultimately, I'd side with Reyes as well.
So you take Jon Jones. Well, let's just talk about it a little bit. You take Jon Jones out of the light heavyweight rankings. He's gone now. You think Dominic Reyes is the best light heavyweight in the division?
It's hard to say. Did he have just a premier performance of his career, against Jon Jones, and then is that it? Do you have that in you again? Is that how you fight here on out? Maybe.
Yeah, because he's had performances in the past that weren't up to that.
I mean, there's a lot of people thought he lost to No Time. Yeah. So.
Well, and then someone you can't sleep on as well is now you got Thiago Santos back in the mix, and then without Jon Jones in the way, he was sleeping everybody, including Jan Blachowicz.
Yeah, so I think he still has a little bit to prove. I don't think just because he gave Jon Jones such a good fight that cements him as a super elite. I think he's definitely. I mean, he's clearly very talented, but as far as that, is that his peak, or is that where he performs at now? Let's wait and see.
The question becomes, will this division turn into one of those where the title switches hands a lot, or will we see someone rise above all the other guys and hold on to that title and maybe make Jon Jones have a little bit of I want to go back. You know what I mean?
It'll be interesting. Jon Jones publicly came out and said if somebody has at least 6 defenses, they'll give $100,000 to whatever charity they want.
Wow.
Yeah.
So he's basically saying he's daring them.
Yes.
I like it.
Yeah. It's hard to back out of a public thing like that when you've got that kind of money. I mean, he could be a dick, but
I just don't necessarily. Well, that's the thing though, because I feel like if you just look at those three at the top: Thiago Santos, Dominic Reyes, and Jan Blachowicz. 2 of those guys can knock anybody out on any given. All 3 of them can knock anybody out on any given day. Dominic Reyes has a lot of power in his hands. Thiago Santos' nickname is literally the fucking hammer. And then we got the Polish hammer. Like, come on, bro. 2 guys are named the Hammer.
And they've got hammers. It's not just talk. Talk and tattoos. No, they got it.
Well, and I feel like physically, Thiago Santos probably will be champion in this division. And just based on how well his body reacted to moving up to 205, because like when you look at his 185-pound like career, he was always bigger than everyone, but it just didn't seem like he ever could get over the hump. Like he didn't have the gas tank.
Yeah, the cut was too much.
Yeah.
For him to
So,
perform
but ever
optimally.
since he's at 205, he's looking
Yeah,
juiced.
he looks much better.
He's huge.
There's a lot to be said when you're a high-level athlete like that, and then you're cutting so far down and then trying to perform in 24 hours.
Yeah,
You're just not going to be peak.
No.
Is your peak better than these other guys that are a little smaller and maybe manage that size a little better?
Well, like someone like Gegard Mousasi who knocked him out,
Yeah.
which just doesn't make any sense.
if you look at the two side by side, you're like, well,
Yeah.
okay.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. So I'm interested in the 205 division again, actually. I really wasn't that interested in Jon fighting any of those guys again, but I am interested in them fighting each other and seeing
Don't
what
forget
happens.
my boy Yuri also, who just knocked out No Time.
Oh, that's true.
Inject that motherfucker in there.
Yeah, you gave him a nice, good matchup here. Statement fight. He could be in the mix
Absolutely.
as well.
I think his last fight was a statement. He knocked out
Oh, it was.
Ozdemir.
Yeah, he knocked out
That was
Ozdemir.
nuts.
Pretty tough.
So yeah, 205 definitely has some
Some
storylines
juice.
going on, you know.
It's got some juice.
Yeah. But there's nothing like Jon Jones. I'm sorry.
No,
Him stepping away is ultimately to the detriment of the division.
yeah, absolutely. UFC needs to quit with this nonsense, not paying these guys. I mean, we lost Cejudo to this, McGregor to this, Jones to this. There's others. I'm not going to turn it into that conversation. Enough.
Almost lost Masvidal.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know, man.
Well, that kind of closes the book on
That whole
that whole saga of
Yep.
252 and its aftermath and Jon Jones and whatnot. Now, we do have a UFC Vegas 7 coming up here next, which, Paul, it's a weak card.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
This is the top two fights are pretty decent.
The UFC needs to be careful, man, because now we got all the sports back. We got basketball, baseball, football. We got playoffs in basketball and hockey. There's going to be some much bigger games on Saturday nights than any of these fucking cards.
And they weren't pulling these crazy numbers everybody thought they were anyways. They were pulling a little bit better than normal.
And nothing was on TV, dude.
Right. I was a little surprised by that. No other sports, and you're pulling a little bit higher than your normal numbers for your fight nights.
Yeah.
Because we don't really know what's up with the pay-per-views.
Not anymore.
You know,
no.
we hear these guesstimates from industry insiders, but who fucking knows? That could be UFC misdirection. I mean, who knows? But let's talk about those two fights. We got Frankie Edgar versus Pedro Munoz headlining this UFC 7 card, right? Which is a rescheduled bout because Pedro got the corona.
Yep.
He's fine now. This is Frankie's long-awaited debut at 135. I feel like I should be excited for this, Paul, because I'm a huge fan of Frankie Edgar, but you know what? I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not
It's a
intrigued.
tough one.
I'm not excited. If Frankie wins, then I'm ready to get on that bandwagon, bro.
Well,
But,
here's the thing.
That's it, dude.
When you look at Pedro Munoz, he's kind of the guy who's up there with the rest of the division, but he's kind of on the outside looking in. You know, so I think if he were to get a win over Frankie, I think it legitimizes his spot in that title conversation. But I do think if Frankie were able to pull this off, it shoots him right back into a conversation that he's been into his whole career, and that's for the belt, whether it be at any division. I mean, like, if you look at Frankie's career as a whole, it's got a lot of ebbs and flows, you know, where it's got the highest of highs where he was a 155-pound champion, and then you got 2 losses now, and he's 36 years old, and he's changing divisions, and coming off 2 knockout losses, or not 2, but
TKOs,
one knockout loss,
The Ortega.
and then no, he lost. I forgot he lost decision to Holloway.
Yeah,
So,
decision to Holloway, and then the Korean Zombie.
Korean Zombie knocked him out.
That was tough.
So, the question becomes, where are you physically, and what are you capable of at this age? And I think this is a good test or fight. It's dangerous because Munoz has got 2 fucking cinder blocks or fists, but
And he's got good cardio too. He's got
Yeah.
solid boxing. I don't know how his takedown defense is. I don't remember offhand.
well, I don't know.
But Frankie, I love Frankie. For some reason, I'm just not feeling this fight. I really hope he wins emphatically as a fan. But if I was betting money, I'd probably bet on Munoz.
Yeah, me too.
So,
But
go
I
Frankie.
also at the
I
same
really
time,
hope you win,
yeah,
dog.
I don't know. Yeah.
And I hope when he wins, it's not some like he barely wins a controversial decision, and then we're like, go out and show me something. I'll be happy to support this move. Otherwise, I just don't know anymore.
So then at 205, we got another couple guys who are also in that mix.
This is the co-main event on UFC.
Co-main event on UFC Vegas 7. We
Okay.
got Ovince St. Preux coming back down after the loss to Ben Rothwell at heavyweight.
OSP.
Coming back down. And then
Smart
you got-
move.
Yeah, for sure. Without a doubt. Then you got Alonzo Menefield, who's looked great as of late.
Yes, a couple
Coming off a knockout win.
former football players here.
Yeah, a couple freak athletes as well.
Yeah.
I feel like Menefield's kind of like a raw talent right now. And, like, I'm very curious to see how this fight goes. Just because I think he does have a spot in this top 15, possibly, one of these two. And, yeah, I feel like this could be fireworks.
This is the fight that he needs to really break out here because OSP
It's a
still
signature
carries weight.
Yeah.
He's a very dangerous fighter.
Mhm.
He could easily win this fight too, but if I had to pick him, I want to see Menefield win as well.
Yeah.
He's big too, man.
Yeah, he's
OSP.
explosive is what he is. Both these guys.
Yeah. OSP's better at
explosion.
205. Like I didn't really support his heavyweight ventures.
Yeah.
And
I wasn't
that's
sure
tough.
about it. I just wanted to see what he looked like, and it wasn't that. It wasn't that he was terrible. It just was that he fought a seasoned heavyweight who was ready for everything he gave him.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Ben Rothwell, it's no joke. But
Yeah, so then one thing we didn't talk about later that I do want to talk about as well. We had Anthony Rumble Johnson yesterday after Jon Jones announced he was leaving 205.
yes,
Announced that he has re-entered the USADA testing pool and is looking to fight by the end of the year.
this is great. He
Jake's-
cycled off everything.
He's
ready to be tested.
Ready to go.
Let's do
And
this.
he plans on fighting at 205 as well.
That's very interesting because he was a top tier fighter that couldn't beat DC,
DC or
or
Jones
Jon Jones,
at
but now
205.
they're gone, so he could be king of that division.
You know who should drop back down too is Gus.
Yeah, Gus might be looking at that diet now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It opens
But
up
yeah,
a lot of interesting things.
A
when
lot
the
of
king
dude, a
leaves
lot
like
of
that.
power punchers at 205, man. But I think Rumble would fucking knock them all out.
Rumble's
If Rumble's the old
like
Rumble,
top 3 right away.
yeah, for sure. He should be a fight away from the belt, right? He fucking retired after a title fight. He literally did what DC did. He had, what was he, 2-2 in his last 4
Yeah,
fights?
he's got plenty of fight left in him.
Like, he's got fight left in him for sure. I can't wait.
Yeah,
for
I'm
Rumble.
down with that move.
I love Rumble Johnson.
He's supposed
I
to-
love the way he fights. I could see. Well, at first, they were talking about he was going to fight at heavyweight. I think John moving up kind of made him decide, like, maybe not. Now he's
Yeah.
going back
Take
down.
your opportunities, man.
Fuck yeah, this
Like,
is
there's
his
no
chance.
shame being like, I can't beat the best there ever was. Oh,
Yeah.
well,
Sorry.
I guess all the rest of the fighters should just quit. And, it is what it is. So I'm excited about that too, bro. That's fucking great news.
All right, I think
Well,
we should.
Rumble Johnson, outside of the UFC, has done a lot of things with BKFC.
Yeah.
And BKFC
He's an
also had
ambassador
some.
or something.
Yeah. Supposedly is going to get a fight or two in there, but that hasn't materialized.
No.
But BKFC had some big news this week, and we'll round out with this here. Is for them at where they're at in their growth, having just done the deal with DAZN, they're going to be the exclusive broadcaster now of BKFC for I don't know how many events it is, but despite maybe some rumors about DAZN's future legitimacy, I don't know. For now, they're just rumors.
Yeah.
They got some kind of money because they signed Paige Van Zant, which has kind of surprised a lot of people, to a 4-fight deal that doesn't just include fighting. It includes a lot of other things, and she's reportedly getting in the millions with an S. So that would indicate $2 million plus. And that contract is making some noise. But, I mean, her manager came out and backed that number up.
Yeah.
And they've done press conferences, and no one is saying that's not the case. So she's looking at being basically, according to the president, I believe his name's Feldman, right?
Yeah.
She's going to be like the face of the BKFC right now. Like, as far as promotion goes, they're going to utilize all of her media and her popularity to promote their brand. Okay. Kind of like, you know, they've got this image of being a little on the barbaric side because cuts do tend to happen a lot. They don't have any major injuries in BKFC, but they do have some bloody fights.
Yeah.
And people hear the term bare knuckle and they see a couple bloody dudes. They think it's a little too barbaric. How do you fix that? Go find a super popular, really hot girl with some Instagram pages and a big following outside of MMA.
Yeah.
Like Paige Van Zant. And then utilize all of her platforms to promote your brand.
For sure. That all sounds wonderful. But the thing is, she still has to execute.
She does. But they also signed, very quietly, but Feldman did release this information, over 24 women to BKFC, I would assume, in her division and near it or above it. So my guess, Paul, is if they're smart, they're not going to feed her to the champ over there, Beck Rawlings, who she does have a victory in MMA over a KO, right? Mm-hmm. But it was a what? It's like a head kick.
Yeah, it was like a fucking switch head kick.
Yeah. It was very pretty, but she's not pulling that off in bare knuckle. No. But I don't think they're going to feed her to Beck, because right now you'd have to favor Beck in that.
Yeah, for sure.
She's looked quite good in BKFC. Mm-hmm. I think if they're really smart, man, they're gonna use her against some of these fighters we've never heard of.
Yeah.
Get her. I hate to use the term easy win because it sounds like I'm denigrating a bare knuckle fighter, but get her some fights she can win.
Yeah.
Or she's heavily favored to win.
Mm-hmm.
Build on a couple victories for her and just keep riding the hell out of that promotion, man.
Yeah.
And I think out of her 4 fights, the 4th one, if it goes well, will be against Beck.
Yeah. Could happen. I don't know. I just think it's one of those things where both sides are going to have to execute perfectly.
It's a dangerous game plan, don't you think?
Yeah, for sure.
Not for BKFC, unless all that money's guaranteed.
Yeah, I think it's for Paige. It's dangerous. I just don't know. It's just bare knuckles just so different on so many levels. Like, you can sit there and say that it's the same thing as MMA, but it's not. Artem Lobov beat Paulie Malignaggi in a bare knuckle fight. Yeah. There you go. And I'm not knocking Artem. I'm a fan of Artem's too, but Paulie Malignaggi is a world-class former world champion boxer. And Artem Lobov is a barely above 500 MMA fighter. Yeah. Because it's just not the same sport, you know. So we'll see. Beck has had great success over here, Beck Rawlings. But I'm excited for it, dude. I think it's a good move, and I think we'll see how smart the BKFC is. Because if they're smart, they're going to do this. It doesn't take a genius to figure that out, that you need to do this the right way. I just need some consistency from them. Obviously, this is what, their like 10th or 12th event or something like that.
I think they just finished up 11. So
11,
this will be coming into 12 as their next event, which will be the first on DAZN.
There's been a lot of companies like them in the past that have shelled out a lot of big money for a lot of big names. And I'm not saying they're like them. I'm just saying I need to see like 2 or 3 years of consistent, churning out cards and quality signings before I really look at them as like, oh, they're a real contender in the fight game as a company. You know what I mean?
Well, they've done some of that. I mean, it's not like they rolled out all these events in a year.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they've been around 2-3 years now.
Okay.
And they are, they're not, this massive thing yet. And they are definitely still considered an upstart, I would say. But I would think they do have the ball rolling pretty decent.
Yeah.
And I think their progression has been steadily upward.
I feel it.
And, moving from the Fight TV platform and YouTube to DAZN is a pretty big deal.
That's definitely big.
I mean, that's the home of some pretty big boxers.
Yeah, that's big.
you take any rumors about DAZN's financials out of this picture because we just don't know if that's true. The facts are they've signed a lot of massive boxers to massive deals, and for BKFC to even be associated with those guys is great. And if they're smart, they're going to start doing like Paige Van Zant documentaries.
Oh yeah, sure,
You know,
like that. Yeah.
She's going to try and go get on like the daytime talk show circuit, go do some shit like Ellen talking about bare knuckle, because it is interesting when you look at her and she's going to bare knuckle fight. You know, that, to the casual, that sounds a little oil and vinegar.
Yeah,
you know, like what? I mean, MMA, you were like, really? But bare knuckle is like,
okay.
so you can see it. And if they're smart, they'll play it that way. If they're not smart, they're going to find some girl that just mops the fucking floor with her, and then this whole experiment's a waste of money.
We'll see how they handle it.
We'll see. It's interesting. I'm a fan of BKFC, dude. I've loved every event of theirs that I've seen. Not every fight has been great.
Yeah.
But events overall, when they're done, I'm like, damn, that was a good time.
For sure.
Like, that was cool.
Yeah, they've had some interesting fights over there, without a doubt.
I wish them success with this. It's a smart move. They've got, Paige has moved over to Coconut Creek.
Hey, I mean, I'm good with anything that gets fighters paid more is cool in my book.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, well, I think that wraps us up for today.
I think it does, man. You can catch our show if you're brand new on WBUZ 95, Orange Radio app, or radio.net, Thursday, 6 p.m. on the West Coast, 9 p.m. on the East Coast. You can also get the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all these other sources, plus video on YouTube. All that info is in one place.
SWATMMA.com, where you can head over there, click the gear button, buy yourself a T-shirt, support the podcast. Winter's coming, buy a jacket,
Thanks, everybody. Keep smoking that good stuff.
Peace.
Peace.